good. Yeah, well, thank you all for your interest in the Global Studies minor. And today we will be diving a little bit into how this minor can be a good complement to your STEM major. So let's talk a little bit more about who are the advisors for this minor, who composes our department. So we have our faculty director, Aliki Dragona. She is in charge of the more academic side of advising when it comes to maybe approving new classes towards the minor or developing any new courses that can be used to satisfy certain requirements. Then we have two advisors, and we are the ones that meet with students directly to talk to you about how to satisfy the requirements. So my coworker, Stephanie Sarate, she advises for students in last names from A through L. And then this is me, Mariana Rangel, and I advise for the students who are pursuing the minor that have last names M through Z. Today, we will be going over a couple of different things. First, why pursue the global studies minor? What are the benefits behind this? And also, what are the requirements as well? How can we complete the minor? And also examples of how the minor looks like. I think something important to consider is that this minor is a little bit more project-based in the sense that it requires students to complete a portfolio. And for that, it requires some areas of either doing some writing and also filling out a chart. And we will dive deeper into that during the presentation. And at the end, we will have time for questions and answers as well. So first, what is a global studies minor? I think our minor is very special in the sense that it's very interdisciplinary and also flexible. And what that means is this minor allows students to select their own courses. And you can select courses from basically every department in UC Davis, as long as that course has a global theme. Um, Another part too is that this minor already has built-in experiences for students in the sense of experiential learning experiences. And what that means is you can either use, if you're doing a study abroad program, you can use that to satisfy some areas of the minor. Or if you're doing an internship that has a global theme, you can also use that to satisfy an area. And the combination of the coursework, right? You're selecting classes from different departments and you're also doing an experiential learning opportunity. The combination of that is going to allow you to develop in three areas, which is global awareness, global diversity, and global action, which is also what our office basically the mission of our office is for students to develop in these areas. And also by talking with advisors, that's something that we can help you kind of guide you through the process and think about the classes that you're taking and also how is that relating to your actual experience too. So this is what the minor looks like at a glance. So a minimum of 20 units are required, as well as a digital portfolio. The first requirement that we have is actually a lower division class, which is one gateway course, Global Thinking, which is EAP 1, and it's also 4 units. At this moment, this course is being developed by our department, so it's not currently being offered. We are hoping to start offering this course in the next year. So as of right now, if you're maybe like a graduating senior and you're thinking about pursuing the minor, or if maybe you're graduating during the summer, there are other ways to satisfy this requirement. So we have a list of classes, lower division classes that can also satisfy requirement 1. And these classes are pretty common, but they have a global theme, and we can look more into that in an advising appointment. For requirement number 2, this is basically the breadth of your minor. And it's a minimum of 12 units. And these are the classes that you need to select from either our pre-approved list of classes, or you can also petition a class too. I'll show you as well later on in the presentation some of the departments that we have already approved classes from. But I'll say, don't feel discouraged if you're looking at the list of classes we have approved, and maybe something that you're interested in taking is not there. I think the process to getting a class approved has been very flexible with students. And personally, I've met with students who had multiple classes being approved towards the minor. So again, this is how our minor is very flexible. And the third requirement is the capstone experience. And this is the area that we think of as a practicum, the area in which you're doing some sort of experiential learning. So you can either satisfy this requirement by doing a program abroad or doing an internship with a global theme. But if that's not the case, that's also not a problem. You can always take just a course, an upper division course here in Davis that has a global theme too. So it's basically allowing students, if you are already doing one of these opportunities, you're already going abroad or you're already doing an internship, you can use that towards your minor. But if that's not the case, then that's not a problem too. There's always ways to satisfy um, that requirement. And then requirement four, that's where you are putting together everything basically. And the digital portfolio is, there's three different requirements to that. Number one is the cluster sheet. So this is more of like a visual of how you're connecting your classes together to develop one common theme. And I'll give you all examples too in the next slides. So that makes a little more sense. And also you require a one-page reflection, which is basically your whatever you're doing in the cluster sheet, you're just making it into a one-page reflection that is easy to read at a glance. Number three, it's proof of engagement with my global learning plan. This is another thing that also our office is currently developing. So if you're graduating soon in the summer, like I mentioned, or if this you're graduating by the time this still has not been developed, it's going to be waived. So as of right now, we're just asking for the first two. And here is a list of different departments that we have already approved classes from. And as you can see, it's a wide breadth from humanities, social sciences, science, STEM. So we're always looking into like adding new courses as well. And we know also that new courses are being developed in Davis like every year, every quarter. So that's usually not been a problem when it comes to adding courses, just with the so just to make sure that the class has a global theme. Okay, so this is an example of what a cluster sheet looks like, which is part of the digital portfolio. And I know it can look a little overwhelming at a glance, but if we start looking at it a little bit more in detail, you can see how these classes are being connected. So another cool thing about our minor is that it gives you the opportunity to actually name it. And this student, they decided to do their minor in health as a human right. And I think this is how you can think about how this minor can complement your um, major in STEM. This student decided to focus on health, but seeing it through different lenses. This student is an example. If you look at the rectangles that have numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are the classes that they took for their requirement two. They decided to do anthropology, human rights, communications, and sociology. And these classes were looking at the same theme, which was health. But the student was taking different aspects of different fields and kind of combining them together. And this is the idea behind the minor, that you're looking at a very interdisciplinary way of looking at a specific topic. Um, I think this can be a very good complement to your STEM major if you're hoping for a couple of things. Maybe if you're hoping to pursue a specific field in like health or um, in science and you want to develop something that is of your interest, this is the opportunity to do that. Especially if you have noticed in your classes, you spoke about a specific topic and you're like, oh, I think that's very cool, but I wish I could like talk more about that or develop something together. This is a minor that can allow you to do that. And we have actually had students who have used their minor towards their applications for grad school. As an example, we had a student who was applying to dentistry school and they used their minor in their application. And they were actually asked during their interview for the school about their minor, and they were able to talk about how they came about developing this topic and also why they were passionate about, and how they ended up combining everything together. So I would say it allows students to use it more beyond just academics, but also in your career as well. Here is also another example. And this student decided to do their minor in exploring Chinese culture for the business environment. And they actually took courses abroad. So class number one, international relations, and also class number four, which is seems like it's business. These were taken abroad through one of I believe UCEAP programs. So that's another cool part too, is if you're doing a study abroad program and you use some classes or you took some classes abroad that you would like to use towards the minor, that's something that is allowed too. And another good thing to think about when it comes to the minor is that you don't necessarily need to do it STEM focused either. So if you want to show that you are developing in different areas of study and that something that can complement your STEM major, that's something that you can use the minor as well to make more of like a holistic approach to different fields. But yeah, this is it for the minor, the different requirements, things to consider. Something else I would like to say before we go into questions and answers is that the minor requires like an ongoing process and a lot of conversations with advisors. So I would recommend if anyone is thinking about like pursuing the minor, just come and talk to us. Let us know what you're thinking about. Maybe some classes that you have already taken can be used towards the minor, and maybe you need one or two. Um, so it really is like a very flexible process, and we're here to help you develop that theme. And yeah, we can open it up to questions in.
Thank you so much. This is a very informative presentation. And I would just like to know, how can I know if my courses have a global theme?
Yeah, thank you. That's actually a very good question. And I feel like there's not like a very specific answer to that. What I would say though is classes that look at certain topics through different lenses, whether if you're looking at different cultures, different languages, different countries, kind of like a more interdisciplinary approach to a specific topic. And you can always bring it up to us and we can see whether that class can be approved or not.
Great, thank you. And then also, would I be able to complete a practicum, maybe some research or an internship for academic credit to count towards the minor? So by that, I mean a 192 or 198 course.
Yeah, that's also a great question too. And yes, definitely you can do that for the minor, which would go towards requirement three, which is our capstone experience. And that's actually something that we encourage students to do more of an experiential learning opportunity towards satisfying that requirement, which includes either internships abroad or maybe internships here. It doesn't have to be a very specific set of rules. I would say as long as you're receiving credit like units, you can use experiential learning to satisfy part of the requirements.
Thank you. And then also, my last question is, what makes this minor unique, or what's your favorite part about it?
Yeah, I think I think in general there's many things that make this minor unique. When I'm thinking about like comparing to other minors in UC Davis, I would say the main part is that you have the opportunity to select classes from different departments. I would say students have more ownership of the minor, and you can really customize it to your own either interests or things that you wish to pursue, like after you graduate. You can use it in many different ways. So I would say it's very flexible in that way and has different benefits too.